Have you noticed something missing on the shelves lately? Maybe it's not obvious at first, a familiar item quietly replaced, a favorite product out of stock, a price tag that suddenly feels off. You think it's just a shipment delay, a seasonal thing. Maybe next week it'll be back, but week after week, that one item stays gone. And when it does come back, it's smaller, weaker, or twice the price. You shrug it off until it starts happening again, and suddenly, it's not a glitch, it's a pattern. The truth is, 2025 has quietly broken the global grocery system, and the cracks are starting to show in your cart. From bananas to cooking oil, coffee to garlic, America's food supply is deeply tied to international trade. And now, thanks to a chain reaction of port delays, tariffs, droughts, and rising import costs, a new grocery crisis is quietly unfolding. One that doesn't come with sirens or breaking news banners, just empty shelves and higher receipts. In today's video, we're going to walk through 6 everyday grocery items that are no longer guaranteed to stay in stock, and why the next time you skip them, it might be the last time you see them at all. These aren't luxury foods, these are the staples your kitchen relies on. Think the supply chain's back to normal? Think your favorite grocery items are safe? Watch till the end and decide for yourself. Number 1. Lentils and pulses. You probably haven't thought twice about them. A quiet bag of lentils sitting in the back of the pantry, a scoop of chickpeas simmering on the stove, or a bowl of split peas thickening into a simple, hearty soup. Lentils and pulses have always been the kind of food you count on: cheap, healthy, shelf-stable, something you grab when money's tight or meals need to stretch just a little further. But in 2025, that quiet safety is starting to crack, and the worst part? Most people haven't noticed it yet. The shelves still look full. The prices haven't exploded overnight. But behind the scenes, a slow disruption is growing, one that starts in the fields of Canada and India and ends in the grocery aisles of Walmart. According to USDA import data, the U.S. imports over 60% of its lentils and pulses, especially masoor, moong, urad, and chickpeas, mostly from Canada, India, and Australia. And this year, all 3 of those sources are facing serious trouble. In India, the government recently imposed export restrictions on pulses to control rising domestic prices. That means fewer shipments reaching the U.S. and longer delays for those that do. At the same time, Canadian lentil farmers are reporting reduced yields due to weather disruptions, while Australian exports are getting squeezed by shipping delays and labor issues. What does that mean for you? It means the simple staples that once cost under $1 a pound are creeping up slowly, quietly. A bag of great value lentils that once cost $1.12 is now $1.68, with whispers of more price adjustments coming. And while it may not sound like much, for families that rely on pulses for plant-based protein, that small increase stretches across weeks of meal planning. But here's what makes it worse. You won't see a shortage sign. There's no announcement on the shelf, just the quiet disappearance of variety. The organic versions? Gone. The larger bags? Out of stock more often. And what remains is often relabeled, repackaged, or reblended, giving you less for more. For many working families, lentils are more than just food. They're a fallback plan, a survival cushion. The one thing you can cook when there's nothing else left, and when even that starts slipping out of reach, not because of panic buying, but because of global export politics and quiet shipping wars, it hits different. Walmart won't say anything. They'll just let the shelf tags update. Let the smaller bags take over. And you'll stand there, wondering when even the most humble foods became just another item to fight for. Because when lentils, the simplest, cheapest food in the store, start becoming fragile, what's left that you can really depend on? Number 2, imported fruit juices. It's one of those things you don't expect to change. A simple juice box for the kids, a bottle of apple or mango juice you throw into the cart without checking twice. It's not a luxury, it's not a splurge. It's just juice. But if you've noticed the prices creeping up, the shelves looking thinner, or your favorite brand disappearing without explanation, you're not imagining it. Something's happening to fruit juice in America, and like most grocery shifts in 2025, it's happening quietly. What most shoppers don't realize is this: the U.S. relies heavily on imported juice concentrates to supply the affordable brands on grocery shelves. According to USDA trade data, over 70% of apple juice concentrate is imported from China, while mango, guava, grape, and orange blends come from countries like Brazil, India, and Mexico. These are the low-cost sources that have kept juice cheap, especially for store brands at Walmart. But this year, everything changed. In early 2025, the U.S. imposed new tariffs on imported Chinese agricultural goods, including juice concentrates. That means companies like Walmart and its suppliers now pay more just to bring the raw juice in, and many are passing that cost straight to the shelf. Meanwhile, global shipping bottlenecks, especially in ports like Los Angeles and Houston, have delayed regular deliveries. Some products are stuck at sea. Others were never shipped at all. The result? That bottle of great value apple juice that used to cost $1.97 is now $2.84. In many states, a 44% increase in under a year. And for multi-pack juice boxes used by families with kids, the price hike feels even worse. But it's not just about price. Some stores are quietly switching ingredients, blending apple juice with filler liquids like pear or grape. Others are shrinking sizes while keeping the labels nearly identical. You notice it at home. The taste is a little different. The bottle empties faster, and your receipt is higher even though you bought the same thing you always did. You stand there in your kitchen, wondering when even juice started to feel like a stretch. For many families, juice is more than a drink. It's part of school lunches, a substitute for soda, a symbol of effort of trying to make the right choice without breaking the budget. And when even that starts to slip away, the emotional cost hits harder than the financial one. They won't explain the trade shifts or shipping problems. They'll just change the price, change the ingredients, change the size, and hope you don't notice until you do. Because when juice becomes a question mark, what does that say about the rest of your cart? Number 3, frozen mixed vegetables. They've always been the backup plan. A bag of frozen peas and carrots, corn, broccoli, green beans ready in minutes, always on hand. Whether it's for a quick stir-fry, a soup on a busy night, or a healthy side when the fridge is running low, frozen mixed vegetables have been a lifeline in American kitchens for decades. Cheap, convenient, reliable. You didn't overthink it. You just grabbed a bag and moved on. But in 2025, something's different. The bags look the same, but what's inside and what it costs isn't what it used to be. Most people assume frozen vegetables are local, but that's not always the case. According to USDA import and production data, a significant portion of frozen vegetable blends, especially corn, carrots, peas, and mixed medleys, are processed or packaged using imported produce, often from Mexico, China, and Canada. These imports are then frozen and bagged under labels like Great Value or other store brands. In normal times, that global network keeps prices low. But these aren't normal times. In 2025, new U.S. tariffs on imported produce, along with aluminum and plastic packaging materials, have made frozen food production more expensive. Add to that an increase in cold chain energy costs and labor shortages at processing plants, and what used to be one of the most stable food categories is now showing signs of stress. You've probably noticed it. The same 12-ounce bag that once cost $0.98 is now $1.49, or even $1.72 in some states. And the larger family-size packs? Either gone, or priced high enough that you second-guess tossing them in the cart. But the shift goes deeper than just price. Some blends have changed. More filler, fewer premium veggies. Peas instead of broccoli, extra carrots instead of cauliflower. The pictures on the bag are the same, but the contents are quietly downgraded. It's shrinkflation, ingredient swap, and brand silence all wrapped in frost. And you feel it, maybe not in one trip, but over time you start noticing that the bag feels lighter, that the stir-fry doesn't stretch as far, that your fallback food, the one you trusted to carry meals when everything else was too expensive, is now under pressure too. Walmart won't issue a recall. There's no sticker that says, "New blend due to supply chain issues." They just put it on the shelf and let you discover it later. And for families that depended on frozen veggies to feed kids, bulk up dinner, or stretch tight budgets, this change hits quietly but hard. Because when even frozen vegetables, the last-minute, guilt-free choice, starts slipping out of reach, it's not just a supply issue anymore. It's a sign, a quiet one, that the system you thought would always catch you is starting to fade. Number 4, jasmine rice. For years, it was the quiet essential in millions of homes. Fluffy, fragrant, and comforting jasmine rice became more than just a side dish. It was the base of stir-fries, the heart of homemade takeout nights, and the soul of countless family meals. Whether you grabbed a store-brand bag at Walmart or the recognizable green-labeled Thai import, one thing stayed true. It was cheap, dependable, and always there, but not anymore. In 2025, that quiet comfort is suddenly slipping out of reach. And if you haven't noticed it yet, you will. The truth is, most jasmine rice in American grocery stores doesn't come from the US. It's imported primarily from Thailand, Vietnam, and Cambodia. These countries supply over 80% of jasmine rice sold under both private and national labels. That wasn't a problem until now. This year, due to escalating trade tensions, the US imposed new tariffs on rice imports from Southeast Asia, specifically targeting countries with ongoing subsidies and currency manipulation concerns. The result? A steep price jump on incoming jasmine rice containers. Add to that rising container shipping rates, labor issues at US ports, and global fuel cost spikes. And suddenly, your $8 bag of jasmine rice is now $12.49 or just missing from the shelf. Retailers won't say it out loud, but many have quietly shifted to lower-grade rice blends, disguising them in familiar packaging. You think you're buying the same thing until you open the bag. The fragrance isn't there. The texture is off. The grains clump or cook unevenly. And what used to be the one ingredient you could count on to stretch meals across a week, it's now a question mark. Food banks and low-income families are among the first to feel it. For many, jasmine rice wasn't just about taste. It was volume, security, a way to make 2 meals out of one. Now, that safety net is showing holes and nobody seems to be talking about it. Some shoppers are switching to domestic rice. Others are hoarding when they spot the real thing. But most, they just walk past the shelf, see the new price, and keep moving. Quietly worried, quietly adjusting. Just like they've done for eggs, for chicken, for milk. Now rice joins the list. And that's the story of collapse, not a loud bang, but a slow, steady disappearance of the things you used to count on until one day you realize they're not there. Number 5, peanut butter. You wouldn't expect something as ordinary as American as peanut butter to be in danger. But here we are. That jar sitting quietly in your pantry? It's no longer just a cheap lunchbox staple. In 2025, it's become one of the most quietly threatened grocery items on the shelf. And most shoppers have no idea what's coming next. Peanut butter prices have already surged over 40% since early 2024. But what's happening now goes beyond just inflation. The real problem? It starts in the fields and ends with a supply chain that's stretched thinner than most realize. Let's start with the crops. The majority of U.S. peanuts come from just a handful of southern states: Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Texas. But in the past 18 months, these regions have faced back-to-back climate pressures, drought, late frosts, and soil degradation. The 2024 peanut harvest was already one of the lowest in a decade, and early indicators for 2025 show another shortfall. That alone would have caused a bump. But then came the demand wave. See, as protein prices skyrocketed, more Americans turned to peanut butter as a cheap, shelf-stable source of calories. That pushed demand up even as supply dropped and processors started importing peanuts from Argentina and Brazil just to keep shelves stocked. But now, new import regulations and transport slowdowns have made that nearly impossible. Here's where things get worse. One of the biggest players in peanut butter, J.M. Smucker Company, maker of Jif, has quietly scaled back production in certain facilities due to raw material shortages and rising costs of manufacturing. Meanwhile, private label brands at stores like Walmart, Target, and Aldi are being forced to reformulate or limit their supply to manage costs. And you've probably already felt it. That 16-ounce jar that used to cost $2.49, it's creeping past $4 in many states. Some store-brand versions have shrunk in size without warning. Others now taste slightly off thanks to filler oils or lower-grade peanut imports that dull the signature flavor. It's a silent downgrade, and most shoppers don't even notice until the jar's already home. But for low-income families, food pantries, and school lunch programs, this isn't subtle. Peanut butter was the reliable fallback. It didn't need refrigeration, lasted months, and provided protein on a budget. Now, it's slowly sliding out of reach. And what makes this more dangerous is how invisible it feels. Nobody talks about peanut butter vanishing. There's no panic, no signs, no big headlines, just more empty space on the shelf. Higher price tags, lighter jars, subtle changes that add up. By the time people realize what's happened, it's already gone. This isn't just about one jar, it's about how fragile our comfort foods have become. How the things we used to take for granted, even the most American of groceries, are now part of a deeper unraveling. So next time you pass by the peanut butter aisle, take a second look. Because the next time you reach for it, it might not be there. Number 6, pasta. Pasta used to be one of the cheapest, most reliable comfort foods on the grocery shelf. Spaghetti, penne, macaroni, all sitting quietly in neat rows, ready to feed families for pennies a plate. But in 2025, even pasta is no longer safe. The problem begins overseas. A large chunk of the durum wheat used in high-quality pasta comes from countries like Italy and Canada. But now, due to ongoing global shipping disruptions, new tariffs, and climate-related harvest declines, the flow of imported wheat has slowed, and the cost of production is quietly climbing. In the US, many budget brands once relied on imported raw wheat or fully finished pasta from Europe. Now, those imports are drying up. And with fewer supplies entering the ports, major retailers are being forced to make tough decisions: shrink inventory, raise prices, or cut back entirely on certain pasta types. You may have already noticed subtle changes. That pasta aisle? It feels a little emptier than usual. The shelves that once carried a dozen brands now carry 5. Your favorite shape? Suddenly missing. And when you do find what you're looking for, the box looks smaller, the price higher. What's worse, cheaper alternatives often come with lower quality broken pieces, softer textures, or a bland, chalky taste. But most shoppers don't realize why. They just think brands are cutting corners. In reality, they're struggling to stay afloat under rising import fees, fuel costs, and commodity volatility. And here's the real kicker. Pasta is a long shelf life item. It's perfect for prepping, stockpiling, and stretching meals during tight times. Which is exactly why demand has quietly surged, especially in cities already feeling the effects of inflated food prices. If you wait too long, you may find yourself staring at shelves filled with overpriced organic options, while the affordable, reliable pasta you grew up on becomes a memory. And as more grocery chains consolidate suppliers, we're likely to see less variety, weaker quality, and unpredictable stock. This isn't panic, it's preparation. And if pasta is still affordable in your store today, it might be smart to grab a few extra boxes, because once the next round of tariffs kicks in, the price tag might not be so friendly. We're not just losing groceries, we're watching the quiet collapse of things we thought would always be there. Peanut butter, coffee, rice, even a banana. These aren't luxuries, they're lifelines. Familiar staples that help generations get through hard times. And now one by one they're slipping through our fingers. Not with a bang, but with silence. By the time the shelves are empty, it's already too late to prepare. If any part of this video made you stop and think, don't walk away empty-handed. Tap the like button so this message reaches someone who still thinks everything's fine. And hit subscribe, because in the weeks ahead, we'll be exposing more silent shortages, price shocks, and warning signs that most people still don't see coming. This isn't fear, this is awareness. And it might be the thing that helps your family stay one step ahead. So scroll down, subscribe, and stick with us before the next crisis decides for you.